Even before the season began, everyone knew that the Golden Bulls of E.E. Smith would be tough competitors in the Mid-South 4A Conference. Back in August, they were called contenders. Now, they're called champions. With talent, hard work, tenacity, and a great team spirit, the Bulls stampeded over tough opposition all the way to the state semifinals, finishing with a spectacular 13-1 record. Along the way, they thrilled fans, smashed records, and wreaked havoc on sports writers' picking averages. This team of 1990, led by head coach Lonnie Baker, burst out of the shadows cast by the legendary coaches, teams, and players that preceded them, and added a new chapter to the proud history of the E.E. Smith Golden Bulls. Look back now and relive the golden season. These are the varsity players. The Golden Bulls were guided by head coach Lonnie Baker and his staff of assistant coaches, Howard Smith, Martin Rickman, Jackie Samuels, Terry Brown, and Andy Keel. The Golden team racked up some impressive statistics for the 10-game season. The Legion of Doom defense only allowed its opponents an average of 140.7 yards per game in rushing and 53.9 in passing. They held the challengers to an average of 12.9 points per game. The O-Train compiled some outstanding figures, too. Quarterback Stuart McDonald completed 49 passes out of 92 attempts, averaging 6.8 yards per completion for a total of 6 touchdowns. Stan Callender caught 36 passes for a gain of 462 yards and 5 touchdowns. Junior Smith was first in the league in rushing with 2,004 yards, averaging 7 yards per carry. He was tied for first in scoring with 25 touchdowns for the season. In offensive team statistics, E.E. Smith averaged 241.2 yards per game rushing and 65.7 yards passing for a per-game average score of 28.7 to their opponent's 12.9. Week after week, every player gave his all for the team as the Golden Bulls moved steadily toward their goal and beyond. First, the warm-up with 3 non-conference games. The season opener is a sign of things to come as the Bulls crush Wilmington Laney 48-0. The rampage continues as Smith tramples Durham Hillside 48-14 and then defeats Wilmington New Hanover 21-7. The Legion of Doom is clearing the tracks for the O-Train. With 3 wins behind them, the E.E. Smith team is ready for rival Terry Sanford in their first conference game of the season. And they put on a show in a real cliffhanger. The first half belongs to the Golden Bulls, with 32 offensive plays to Terry Sanford's 14. By the fourth quarter, E.E. Smith scores 3 times, once on a handoff from McDonald to Smith to Callender, who goes 60 yards for the touchdown, and twice on runs by Junior Smith, who racks up 204 yards rushing and is named the Fayetteville Observer-Times Athlete of the Week for the second time in 3 weeks. With E.E. Smith leading 21-15 and 1 minute remaining on the clock, the Bulldogs make a desperate try for a first down from the Smith 11, but they're overwhelmed by the Legion of Doom and stopped an inch short of the first down. A heart-stopping victory. E.E. Smith 21, Terry Sanford 15. In a tough game against 71st, E.E. Smith hands the Falcons their first defeat by a Mid-South 4A conference opponent since 1986. Stuart McDonald completes a 32-yard pass to Stan Callender and then a 9-yarder to John Kerr for the first touchdown. Junior Smith makes a 61-yard run for the second score and adds 187 yards rushing to his season record. The Golden Bulls surprised the Falcons with an unusual play with a 2-point conversion by lining up on the right hash mark away from the ball. Chris Jones collects an underhanded toss from Chris Staples and scampers untouched into the end zone. After their second touchdown, the Falcons, still trailing at 15-13, elect to try for a tie with a 2-point conversion, but they run smack into the Legion of Doom. There's no way around Chris Staples and Damian Wright. During the final 2 minutes, the Falcons' last chance to score is foiled when a passed ball is tipped by Tim McMillan and intercepted by Larry Parker. The final score, E.E. Smith 15, 71st 13. The homecoming game against Pine Forest is played before a crowd of 5,000. Both teams struggle for every yard, but in this game, Junior Smith makes what the Fayetteville Observer-Times calls the big play of the week. In a kickoff return following Pine Forest's only touchdown, Junior Smith captures the ball, breaks through, and races 68 yards for a touchdown. The Golden Bulls' homecoming triumph is 12-7 over Pine Forest. Looking for their 8th straight win, E.E. Smith takes on Southview in Tiger Stadium. Coach Baker expects an offensive game, and he's proven correct. E.E. Smith takes an early lead, scoring 2 touchdowns in the first 2 minutes of the game. Receiving the opening kickoff, Junior Smith needs only 8 plays to move the ball 68 yards for the first touchdown. Donovan Williams recovers Southview's fumble on their first play from scrimmage, and Gardell Chavis takes it in from 11 yards. Bill Pulley makes good on both conversions, and E.E. Smith leads 14-0. The Golden Bulls score again in the closing minutes of the first half when Junior Smith scores from the right sideline with an 81-yard run for the touchdown. In the last seconds of the game, with a score 20-19 for Smith and Southview in scoring position, the Legion of Doom strikes again, and John McMillan throws the Tigers for a 3-yard loss. Southview's attempt at a field goal fails, and E.E. Smith wins another thriller, 20-19. E.E. Smith squares off against Douglas Byrd, knowing that a win will guarantee them the #1 slot in their league state 4A playoffs. The Eagles, recognized as having the most effective passing attack in the conference, give it their all, but they fail in their attempt to upset the powerful Bulls. Callender scores with a fantastic 97-yard run, and Junior Smith makes 3 touchdowns, rushes for a career high of 336 yards. Still unbeaten after 9 games, E.E. Smith triumphs 35-28. E.E. Smith's last regular season conference game is against Westover. They want win number 10, and they do what they have to do. While the Wolverines concentrate on keeping Junior Smith bottled up, Stuart McDonald hits Stan Callender with a 16-yard touchdown pass. Junior Smith is not to be denied, though. He scores 1 touchdown late in the first half and then runs it in for the 2-point conversion. In the fourth quarter, he finds a hole, outruns the defenders who chase him 62 yards into the end zone. His 180 yards for the game carries Junior Smith over the top of his goal with 2,004 yards rushing for the season, setting a Cumberland County record and earning the rushing title for the conference. With a 21-14 victory over Westover, this E.E. Smith team becomes the first in their school's history to finish a 10-game season undefeated. The Golden Bulls now have sole possession of the league title and advance to the first-round playoffs against Raleigh-Enlow. Enlow's problems with the weather are nothing compared to their problems with E.E. Smith's Legion of Doom. The Golden Bulls' defense holds the Eagles to minus 11 yards in the second half and only 95 yards for the game. John Kerr is a standout, completing 9 tackles, 4 of them unassisted. The Fayetteville Observer-Times names him their Athlete of the Week. Enlow manages a field goal in the second period, but that is all. Junior Smith does his usual with 3 touchdowns, and Dedrick Williams recovers an Enlow fumble in Smith's end zone for the 4th score. Bill Pulley has a good game, punting 5 times for an average of 40.6 yards per kick and booting 2 extra points. Smith wins handily, 26-3. In the second round of the playoffs, Rocky Mount comes to D.T. Carter Stadium and gets the treatment. E.E. Smith's formidable Legion of Doom forces 5 Griffon turnovers, and the O-Train scores 5 touchdowns. The Iron Man accounts for 3 of the TDs, and Gardell Chavis rushes for 1. Stuart McDonald hits Donovan Williams with a 37-yard touchdown pass, and Chris Jones runs for the 2-point conversion. The Golden Bulls maintain the lead for the entire game and finish with an impressive 34-14 victory over Rocky Mount. E.E. Smith travels to Robeson County to meet Purnell Sweat in the quarterfinal round. Once again, the dreaded Legion of Doom lives up to its name, and the Bulls run roughshod over the Rams. Larry Parker sparkles on defense, pressuring the Rams passer into a 10-for-33 game with 2 interceptions. Parker is the Fayetteville Observer-Times Athlete of the Week. E.E. Smith's offensive play is solid, again racking up 5 touchdowns, 3 from Junior Smith, 1 from Gardell Chavis, and 1 from the pass combination of McDonald Callender. Beating Purnell Sweat 32-6 extends the Golden Bulls winning streak to 13. E.E. Smith's only loss for the year is in a disappointing game with Richmond, but they close out the season with a distinguished record of 13-1. The Golden Bulls can look at that record with pride, along with the way they accumulated many awards. Head coach Lonnie Baker, in his second season as head coach at E.E. Smith, was voted the 1990 Mid-South 4A Conference Coach of the Year, and Junior Smith was named Player of the Year for the conference. Junior Smith's season total of 2,454 yards rushing puts him in second place in the North Carolina High School record book. The all-conference first team included E.E. Smith players Junior Smith, Mike Harris, John Kerr, and Willie Washington. E.E. Smith players chosen for the all-conference second team are Stan Callender, Lynn Evans, Gerald Mitchell, Bill Pulley, and Larry Parker. Stuart McDonald received honorable mention. Junior Smith was named to the Associated Press 1990 All-State High School football team for North Carolina and received the Extra Effort Award from WRAL-TV. John Kerr and Stan Callender received honorable mention from the AP, and Kerr was selected for the North Carolina Shrine Bowl. The Golden Bulls pulled together. Every player's goal was to work for the good of the team, and in doing so, they brought honor upon themselves, their school, and all of Cumberland County. For the 1990 champions of the Mid-South 4A Conference, it was indeed a golden season.